From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Carolina Week. I'm Megan Cassell.
And I'm Eddie Sykes. Thanks for joining us for this look back at some of the top stories from the fall semester at Carolina. Well, the budget continues to plague UNC, and your tuition will increase for the fifth time in as many years because of it. Reporter Joelle Kaplan takes us through this semester's developments in the tuition increase saga.
In October, when the UNC System Board of Governors first discussed raising tuition for next year, no one described the predicament better than Chairwoman Hannah Gage.
I think that you can't get blood from a turnip, and we've got to see what happens.
And what happened was no shock to anyone at the university. While the NC General Assembly struggles to plug the $3.5 billion hole in its budget, UNC can expect its own budget cut of 10% or $54 million. That's why the university is turning to you, the students, to make up for part of that loss. But a tuition increase alone won't balance the budget, as Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost Bruce Carney said. Despite the prospect of a 10% cut to the university's overall budget, tuition increases on campus for undergraduate residents are capped at 6.5%. Even so, Carney and the Tuition and Fee Advisory Task Force emerged from their meeting Thursday with 3 tuition proposals, from which Chancellor Holden Thorpe will choose the new policy. The first would raise tuition for both in-state and out-of-state undergrads by 6.5%, providing more than $15 million of additional revenue. The second would be a 5.6% increase for all students, adding almost $13 million to the bottom line. The third would assign the 6.5% increase to in-state students, while out-of-state tuition would increase by 5.6%, increasing revenue by almost $14 million. No matter which proposal the chancellor chooses, the university would still have a deficit of about $40 million. In Chapel Hill, I'm Joelle Kaplan, Carolina Week.
Chancellor Thorpe has since chosen the 6.5% increase for all students, which will go into effect next year.
UNC professors have taken a hard hit from budget cuts to the UNC system. With faculty salary cuts, other universities are able to compete for the best and brightest of our faculty. Reporter Rachel Nash has more about how this could cause academic standards to suffer.
Professor of Library Science Brian Sturm hasn't seen a pay raise in 2 years.
When it gets lean, which it always does, you end up having to deal with it.
But personal penny pinching isn't his main concern. Sturm fears UNC won't be able to keep or attract the country's top professors.
The quality of the education just has to go down. It can't sustain itself.
And Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost Bruce Carney agrees. That's why he proposed a merit-based salary increase rewarding professors who achieve in and out of the classroom.
The lack of salary increases for 2 years, and now it's probably going to be 3 years, just sends a demoralizing message to faculty.
With the projected budget cuts coming next year, newly hired faculty members would be the first to go.
We're getting down to the place where everybody who doesn't have tenure or a firm contract has some risk.
New faculty members are also more likely to be approached for employment by other universities. But Carney says the state legislature won't accept any proposals for pay raises this year, even if supported from tuition dollars. And senior Megan Shallcross says no matter what, professors should teach at the best of their ability.
Hopefully that wouldn't affect their academic contributions.
And pay raise or not, Sturm says he trusts the administration to make the best of a bad situation.
I think the UNC traditionally, from what I have seen in the 12 years I've been here, has been very good about finding ways to preserve the integrity and the quality of the education here in spite of constant budget cuts.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Rachel Nash, Carolina Week.
When we look back on the semester, we can't help but be reminded of the NCAA investigations. 6 documents provided more information about who has been directly involved with infractions. Reporter Kirsten Garris has more details about what these documents really mean.
We know one of the effects of the investigation: 3-star players out for good.
If I would have known what would have maybe got them off track, I'd have loved to have been a part of maybe trying to get them back on track.
That was October 2nd, the day UNC football coach Butch Davis announced that Marvin Austin, Greg Little, and Robert Quinn wouldn't play for the entire season. On October 22nd, Todd Stewart, Michael Katz and Chris Hopkins are the agents listed as having provided financial benefits to players. The documents include 6 letters from Athletic Director Dick Bedore to the NCAA outlining the violations and the agents involved, 3 letters specifying Hopkins as the runner involved. The documents are 19 pages long, and it sheds some light on who was involved with doing what, from booking and paying for hotel rooms to buying access passes to pool parties. However, the documents have been highly edited, so we don't know which player was involved with which agent and what benefits they received. One of the letters addresses Hopkins directly and bans him from interacting with UNC athletics for 5 years, and outlines the 4 NCAA rules he might have violated. The university has information that says Hopkins might have provided benefits, arranged meetings with financial advisors and agents, offered to purchase gear, and said he was a university representative. At this time, neither Dick Bedore nor Butch Davis have commented to the media about the release of these documents, but regardless of who provided the benefits, Butch Davis admits the football program should have been more proactive.
Maybe we should have educated some of these guys even more so earlier in their career so that they would have heard it over and over and over instead of, you make the assumption that some guys have heard it 10 times. Well, some guys might have only heard it for the first time.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Kirsten Garris, Carolina Week.
The NCAA investigations finally do seem to be coming to an end, and we'll be sure to keep you posted of any updates next semester.
Well, coming up after the break, more of the top stories of the semester
on this special edition of Carolina Week.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Franz!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit americansforthearts.org.
Un día en el bosque las ratas jugaban. Fósforos que no es muy bueno.
Escucha Smokey antes de tratar.
Solo tú.
No juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego. Fuego. No hay nada para un pobre conejo asustado a un pobre ratón sin casa en que vivir. Si un hermoso bosque es lo que deseas, no juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego.
Solo tú puedes prevenir los fuegos forestales.
¡Fuego!
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, what? Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when you want to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends.
See you later, Sarah.
Even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
Two of our students are recipients of one of the most prestigious graduate scholarships in the world. Reporter Alexandra Press tells us how one of them will use it to pursue her international and cultural interests.
Laurence Deschamps-Laporte is one of 2 UNC Rhodes Scholars for this year. The judges told her the great news with a phone call.
I just became silent, and then they say, right away, do you accept it? And then I woke up and I say, yes, thank you, yes.
Her interest in Oxford comes from her passion for travel, art, and other cultures, particularly Islamic value systems.
I'm not the typical, involved student government student, and I think a lot of them could get the Rhodes Scholarship also, but that's not who I am, so I never tried to be.
Oxford is a place where she can focus on international development. instead of just the broad concept of international studies at UNC.
I'm hoping I can really look at this kind of triangle of interest, which is Islamic studies, development, and gender.
Deschamps-Laporte decided to apply in her junior year. The process starts with a personal statement. The next step is recommendation letters. This extensive process forced her to reflect deeply on who she is.
So it makes you think, why do I want this scholarship? Why do I want to study this? Who's my favorite author? Why am I a leader? Why am I this or that? So you learn a lot about yourself. So it's amazing.
She says her various artistic and cultural interests don't box her in. Instead, they expand her world and provide endless possibilities. In Chapel Hill, I'm Alexandra Press, Carolina Week.
In the meantime, Laurence Deschamps-Laporte will continue to enjoy her senior year at UNC.
Well, how fit would you say you are? Claudia Rupsich shows us different ways to measure fitness as she follows a male UNC student through a series of tests. Let's take a look at his results.
Adam McDonald considers himself a very athletic person. He plays on UNC's club rugby team and works out at least 5 times a week. But according to his body mass index, McDonald is overweight.
What's interesting is, the word overweight, I'm heavy for my height or anything, but I wouldn't necessarily consider myself unhealthy.
BMI is based on the ratio of height and weight and doesn't take muscle mass into account. Lori Mangili is the director of the fitness program at UNC. She says BMI is the least accurate way of measuring how fit you are, especially for a 5'4", 130-pound person like McDonald.
A lot of times people who are shorter but very muscular could have a reading that indicates that they're overweight or overfat, which really is not the case.
Bioelectrical impedance, or BIA analysis, uses a device that measures your body fat by sending a small electric current through the body. According to this test, McDonald has 14% body fat, placing him in the athletic category. One of the most accurate methods to measure body composition is the skin fold test. The person administering the test uses calipers to pinch 3 different areas of the body. In men, they're the chest, the stomach, and the thigh. The computer takes an average of the 3 numbers to calculate body fat percentage. McDonald got 18.9%, placing him in the recommended range. Mangili says even though this method is more accurate, it's not perfect.
Is fairly accurate, but again, there's a variation between testers.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Claudia Rupsich, Carolina Week.
The SRC offers these tests for free, so if you're interested, you should take all 3 tests and then take an average of the 3 readings. Keeping in mind that if you're very muscular, you might get an inaccurate BMI calculation.
Innovation is the buzzword on campus these days. But what does innovation really mean for Carolina students? Student Body President Hogan Medlin says, in its simplest form, innovation is taking an idea and turning it into reality. He's created an Arts Innovation Steering Committee to start changing the approach to arts at Carolina. As she begins stretching early on a Tuesday morning, Becca Rand faces only one of the many challenges of being a dancer at UNC.
These students wake up at 8 o'clock every morning to come off campus. We pay a fee to be able to take dance classes to try to make the most of what Carolina currently offers because we do have such a big passion for it.
But on campus right now, her passion is seen only as an extracurricular activity. Student Body President Hogan Medlin sees it differently.
That's co-curricular. It's part of what you're learning. You learn something from engaging in the arts.
Through Medlin's Arts Innovation Steering Committee, Rand joins a think tank of students, faculty, and professionals in the arts once a month to find ways to help performers like the Accordants develop the resources that are available to them.
And if we could get more support from the faculty and things like that, we would have a lot more auditioners, because sometimes we have people who can't audition because their studio teacher won't let them or something like that.
The Accordants hope the committee will open lines of communication between academic departments and student organizations so people can take full advantage of the arts on campus.
So that means that every organization, whether it's an a cappella group like us or a dance group or a person who wants to minor in dance or major in classical medieval music, has a chance to do that, and that feels like they have the support of the university behind them.
I'm excited about the notion of innovation, and I'm excited to see that this is something that the Chancellor is championing. I think time will obviously tell how it adopts and becomes part of the Carolina community.
In the meantime, Rand will continue to face challenges with optimism as she pushes for a dance minor at UNC. With enough help, Medlin's committee might be able to create an atmosphere of arts at Carolina that matches the talent we have. The committee might recommend a dance minor for Medlin to present to the board in March.
Well, the Eyes, the Ears, Nose, and Paws Clinic brings a new definition to saying man's best friend. The 2-year-old clinic is the only one of its kind in the Triangle area. Reporter Carly Stevenson has the details.
Melanie Johnson lost the vision in her right eye after doctors diagnosed her with a grade 4 brain tumor.
But I did lose my vision and was having trouble just with strength and living alone.
Little B came into Johnson's life in August. He's not like other dogs. He's trained to assist people with disabling medical conditions.
The tumor eventually kind of went dormant, and then it came back just as I was re-diagnosed just as I got Little B. So it was kind of a godsend. Right, Little B?
Little B helps Melanie get around and retrieve things, and he also has a few tricks up his sleeve.
Good job! He motivates me to walk because he has to be exercised every day. And when I didn't have him, I wouldn't necessarily get out of the house if I didn't have to.
Dogs like Little B trained to become assistance dogs during a 6-month program at the clinic. Program director Deb Cunningham works with the puppy foster parents during the training.
The entire time that the puppy parents are working with the dogs, I'm working with them to create really good bonds between people and dogs, and I really enjoy that.
Trainers teach dogs to help with tasks like opening automatic doors, walking next to wheelchairs, and retrieving medicine. And the clinic needs more people to put in that time and effort.
Our foster parents who raise and train the dogs. It's a big commitment, but it's a huge reward too.
Especially when you see what a dog like Little B can mean to someone like Melanie. In Chapel Hill, I'm Carly Stevenson, Carolina Week.
Well, assistance dogs cost about $25,000. The high price includes all of the training sessions. That's a lot of money, but it's difficult to put a price tag on independence.
Sportscaster Justin Page joins us now in the studio for a recap of this semester's sports.
Yeah, Justin, it's been a very challenging semester for Carolina athletics, hasn't it?
Eddie, that might be a little bit of an understatement when you look at this semester. From the NCAA investigations into the football team to the basketball team's early season woes, there's been a lot of problems. However, coming up after the break, we might have found the reason for Carolina's early struggles.
I understand you need a little help with your mortgage. Want to avoid foreclosure. Candy? Well, you're in luck. We're experts in this sort of thing. Mortgage, rigmarole, whatnot. Why don't we get a contract? Who wants a contract?
Here you go, Pete.
Thanks, Betty.
Write a toner.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
There's a place, not so far away, a place where you don't have to keep the volume down. You'll find all sorts of creatures in this place without have to. The silly you, the proud you. You may even meet the curious you.
It's tickling me. You!
Ask your parents to take you to this not so far away place. Come to the forest, where the other you lives. But first, stop by discovertheforest.org.
Today is a special day. Today we gather as a nation and as an international community to recognize the selfless decision of one of the most influential women of our time. She's been recognized by religious figures and politicians around the world. To us, she's just Rachel. But to the rest of the world, she's the woman who, after having one too many drinks, chose not to drive home buzzed. Here today to honor Rachel is the family whose lives she spared.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. Despite the turmoil surrounding the UNC football team this year, one player did his best to make the most of his senior season.
UNC running back Johnny White always wanted the chance to shine. But during the past 3 seasons, White bounced from position to position as the Heels built their running game around Sean Drone and Ryan Houston. But ever since the NCAA investigations forced coaches to move White into the starting job, the career backup has been the focal point of Carolina's offense. In Saturday's game against Clemson, White rushed for 89 yards and scored 2 touchdowns and also led the Heels in receiving. Now the undisputed starter, White says the previous seasons didn't discourage him.
I just always figured that, I was here for a reason and so I get my chance when I got my chance. So I just always been patient and waited for that.
White's chance couldn't have come at a better time. He has helped the Heels run to 3 straight victories and has earned the respect of his teammates. Quarterback TJ Yates says White deserves the success.
He's been a team player ever since he's been here. He's waited his turn. He's done everything the coaches have asked him, just every day when he goes out there to practice and every game, he's running as hard as he can.
White has also earned the trust of the coaching staff. Coach Butch Davis says successful teams are built on players like his 5th-year senior.
I think the best football teams I've ever been on have been the teams that have predominantly been made up of a lot of unselfish individuals, and Johnny kind of typifies that.
White is now on pace to become UNC's first 1,000-yard back since 1997. But for now, White says he'd rather just enjoy his new job.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. That's what all college football players come to college for, just being in the spotlight at the crunch time of the game. And, I just thank coaches for, having trust in me at that time.
White will definitely have the coaches' trust when Carolina travels to Virginia on Saturday.
White fractured his right clavicle against Florida State in November and was out for the rest of the season. He finished with 130 rushing attempts for 720 yards and a team-high 7 touchdowns. We wish him well as he tries to go to the next level. After last year's basketball team failed to make the NCAA tournament and investigations put a damper on the football season, fans are wondering what has happened with Carolina athletics. Reporter Emily Hawks might have found the answer.
It all started with one Presbyterian fan last December.
The positive energy and the karma of the program was disrupted by one guy yelling, "Hey, Dion, miss it," and the coach sort of being irritated and overreacting to it.
It was the UNC versus Presbyterian basketball game of 2009. And Coach Roy Williams had security throw Presbyterian fan Brian King out of the Dean Dome from this very seat.
That moment changed major UNC athletics. That's ACC reporter Dan Wiederer's theory anyway.
As a sort of tongue-in-cheek way to explain why that season went haywire so fast, you point back to that one incident.
Wiederer published an article in the Fayetteville Observer citing 10 moments in the past 9 months when UNC basketball and football have struggled. To name a few, UNC football lost in the Meineke Car Care Bowl for the 2nd year in a row. That was followed by a shocking basketball loss to College of Charleston in January. The Heels then lost to Dayton in the NIT Championship. The trouble continues this season with NCAA investigations into the football program. And most recently, senior Will Graves was dismissed from the basketball team for failing to comply with team rules.
From that night on, there hasn't been a lot to cheer about, and there's been a lot to sort of take a lot of ibuprofen and Advil to cure your headaches with.
And how are Tar Heel fans taking this theory? Well, Rhoda Osterneck, who's been to every home basketball game since 1973, isn't too worried about it.
I just laughed. I thought it was funny. Our basketball team is going to surprise people.
But how exactly will Carolina break the curse of the Blue Hose heckler going into the 2010-2011 basketball season? Wiederer said that UNC needs only 2 things. 1,
a Hall of Fame coach helps, and 2, the #1 recruit in the country helps.
Lucky for Carolina, the Heels have both. In Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Hawks, Carolina Week.
The basketball team will begin ACC play on January 8th at Virginia, and who knows, with the 1-year anniversary of the Blue Hose heckler just around the corner, maybe UNC can finally break the curse and put some more wins up on the board.
All right, well, let's hope so, and let's hope for a little bit better luck for the Heels next season.
Looking forward to next semester. Thanks, Justin.
All right, well, coming up, we'll take a look at some of the stories that made us smile
when we return to this special edition of Carolina Week.
Hands can do incredible things. Now they can even help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see an adult suddenly collapse, just call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Learn more at handsonlycpr.org.
you can make a magical difference in the life of an animal. Shelters are full of healthy, loyal, fun, loving pets. And they're all just waiting for you to adopt them. Find out more at theshelterpetproject.org.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
You know, Eddie, the State Fair has many fun attractions, the rides, the games, but I think the best part is the food. What's your favorite food at the fair?
Megan, that's a really difficult question, but you know, it's been a few years since I've actually been out to the State Fair. I guess I'd have to say the deep-fried Snickers bars. They're pretty good.
Reporter Lindsay Hawkins traveled to the State Fair to show us this year's favorite food.
Cotton candy, funnel cakes, and sweet corn. It's what I look forward to the most every year at the State Fair, the food. And we all have our favorites.
Snow cones, orange snow cones.
They're foot-long hot dog. I like the funnel cakes with the little powdered sugar on top. Then you get the strawberries.
My favorite food is the fried Snickers.
Ice cream from North Carolina State University.
And every year there's a new food that people are talking about. This year, the Krispy Kreme burger is getting a lot of attention. Concession owner Mike Beaver.
The Krispy Kreme burger is basically just a burger. We take a Krispy Kreme, we put a burger on top of it, the toppings, whatever people choose, and another Krispy Kreme on top.
But how many calories are we looking at?
I don't know, I haven't counted, but the donuts are 0 trans fat.
And that was reasonable enough.
So I decided I was going to try the Krispy Kreme burger myself.
Better than I anticipated, which is what Kelly has heard from customers.
Different than most people have in mind, too.
But we do know what we're getting when we order our favorites.
They are very icy and cold.
They were very gooey on the inside.
They taste real good, and yeah, they're good.
Gooey, hot, and chewy every year.
It's worth coming back year after year.
I think she said it best. In Raleigh, I'm Lindsay Hawkins, Carolina Week.
I'm glad Lindsay was the one who had to try that.
Me too. But don't worry, word on the street is that our producer Jeremy ended up eating the entire thing.
Oh my gosh.
And maybe he had it with a glass of North Carolina's very own soda, Cheerwine.
Our Andrea Ludka takes us inside the history and culture of the Burgundy Brew.
Words to describe Cheerwine are very hard to come by. I'm not sure we have been able to articulate it, other than it tastes like Cheerwine. We're not a cola, we're not a cherry cola, we're not a cherry soda, but we do have a hint of cherry, you know, in our flavor. The brand was created right here in Salisbury in 1917. It's in its 93rd year. We believe we're the last soft drink company in America still run by the same family for over 90 years, fourth generation management, soon to be fifth. So that makes sort of the backstory of this brand very, very special to people. The name comes from sort of two legends, if you will. One is Cheerwine was birthed back in a time when soft drinks were being invented and created, and so beer became root beer, ale became ginger ale, and wine became Cheerwine. So the wine comes from the color burgundy. The cheer is probably a component of cherry, but also probably how it makes you feel when you drink it. It makes you feel cheery. I think as difficult as things might become for people, they've always got a little loose change for a little taste of home. And I think we fit into that, a bit of that comfort food space for consumers. They can always grab a cold Cheerwine and life is good again.
Well, I know that Cheerwine's definitely one of my favorite soft drinks. What about you, Megan?
It's my very favorite.
Really?
I was born and raised in North Carolina, just like the drink.
Well, there we go. Well, thanks so much for joining us. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Have a good night.